Welcome back to Alva's Garage. So today we're actually in the garage and we plan to do some exhaust work. So actually I already went ahead and removed the turbo and downpipe setup. So I have an exhaust leak on the V-band. I just started checking for warpage and it looks like the V-band on the turbine housing is slightly warped and there's actually little things in here, so this might be it. So I'm probably going to take a little bit of sandpaper on a flat surface. I'm using a piece of glass as my flat reference. Let's see if I can grind that up. The V-band on the downpipe is also slightly warped, but for this one I'm going to go ahead and cut it off and replace it with a new one. And then another thing I want to do is add some EGT probes. So I'm going to drill a hole, make some little additional metal I can clamp onto it and weld onto it so I can attach the EGT probes. And I plan on adding a flex coupler onto the downpipe. I'm hoping this will kind of help the V-band seal properly. That way it has some flex and be able to mount properly onto the surfaces. So yeah, that's going to be my project. The flex coupler, replace the V-band, and the EGT probes. So stay tuned. So recently trick I learned is apply a little bit of WD-40 or light oil and then put a glass against the surface and you can see where the warpage is. So you should get a nice essentially bubble of water, or in this case WD-40 around the surface. You can see there's some kind of air gaps, so that just shows the slight warpage on the meeting surface. So I think after I file this smooth, I'm hoping you'll get a nice clear view of just the WD-40 surface versus the air surface. You kind of see the WD-40 hit, but you gotta go down here. There's an island of air. So, all right, we'll see how it goes. So I went ahead and grinded the V-band surface on the turbine housing using the little disc sander, Harbor Freight Special. So I went ahead and sprayed it with WD-40 and redo the WD-40 trick with the glass. And I'm not sure how well that comes out on camera, but let me lift it so you can see the oil. Then as I flatten it, you can see the sealing surface. So the trick is you should be fairly even. You shouldn't see any large air bubble gaps, which I don't. If you can lift it, I can show you the difference. You can tell it's nice and clean, so the whole surface is fairly flat, so that should give us a nice seal. You can kind of even see the warpage difference. That's metal that did not get grinded down, and the metal around it did. So that's, you can kind of tell where the warpage was. Now it's a nice clean surface. All right. Okay, so for the EGT probe, this is what I'm thinking. So I found some scrap pipe I had floating around. So it's about the right thickness. So my plan is essentially to cut this in half and then probably cut about an inch in. That way I get two halves for each runner of the turbo manifold. So yeah, so I think I'm just going to cut first across and then cut this way. And then I'll be able to hopefully put on a vise and drill. Or maybe I should drill first. I'm going to drill first because I think it'll be easier to actually hold on to the vise. Then I'll cut. Then I'll cut. Alright. So I already went ahead and drilled. So I'm currently tapping at least one of it. So the key to tapping successfully is make sure you use cutting oil. In this case I'm just using some motor oil. But essentially you cut and then you just keep going. It's kind of hard with one hand. But you cut and then as you cut you go back, loosen it, and then just keep going forward. So yep, don't try to get it all done at one go, otherwise you end up with broken bits. Oh, that's a lot easier than cutting it by hand. Picked up this guy yesterday, and it's going to pay off for this project. So after some hammering and grinding, this is what my VGT probe little bungs gonna look like. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'll weld it in place. So time for the other runner, and then I also have to drill the hole in the actual manifold. So both holes are drilled. So there's one bung. Yeah, those are gonna be my bungs for my EGT probes. So I just gotta weld them on. Okay, so I think the next thing I'm gonna start doing is working on the downpipe. So I just have 1 day of welding, which will probably be tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, so I got the downpipe lined up to cut off the existing V-band with my little help from my friend Luis. So this is going to be the tricky part. So I want to add the flex coupler right around here. So I kind of marked where I believe I should be making my cuts. So it's going to be a little tricky. So I think I'll cut a little bit larger than what I think, and then maybe grind it down to fit properly. Alright, so I went ahead and tacked weld in the flex coupler. Got everything clamped in, so looks like it worked out. I probably could have left maybe another 1/8 of an inch. It cut right on the gap, so overall I think it's gonna be okay. So I think make my life easier, just gonna MIG weld these, and then I'm gonna take a tab of actually TIG welding the V-band onto the downpipe. Alright, so I got everything welded up. Went ahead and TIG the V-band, and then I kind of stitched up with a MIG on the flex. So probably grind it down, make it a little prettier, but there's a little bit thickness of metals were different, so yeah, made it a little interesting to weld smoothly. But overall, looks like it came out pretty good. V-band's nice and tight. Got a coupler, got to connect it to the wastegate, but everything seems to line up perfectly. Went ahead and welded the bungs for the EGTs. But yeah, overall it's pretty good. So next stage is install it essentially, and hope my exhaust leaks are fixed. Otherwise this was all for nothing. But I'm feeling pretty confident that this will resolve it. Alright, got the turbo mounted. It was a bit of a pain in the ass to get it in there. It's pretty tight space, but so far so good. So next step is to put on the downpipe and kind of test fit it, and if it hopefully fits well, otherwise it'll cut and adjust, but test fit it, and if it fits well, then I'll go ahead and wrap it and then reinstall it finally, or for the final time. Alright, got everything mounted. I haven't quite bolted up the downpipe to the rest of the exhaust. Kind of curious to see how it sounds, so I'm just gonna fire it up and get a little rip. Alright, got everything wired up and going. EGT probes seem to be functioning. Overall, happy with the results. It looks like the exhaust leak is resolved and should be ready for a track day next month. Thanks for watching.